How does this one end?
It's going to be a demolition. It's going to be an absolute demolition. I know
The way he says that smiling is so psychotic.
damage he's taken.
Ah.
I know I will just have to touch him. And after that, it will be clinical. So to win alone is not just enough. It must be spectacular, and that it will be.
Okay, wow, no send-off there. The interview just stops. That's kind of a paramount. Get your shit together. But you heard it there at the end. Max has taken a lot of damage. All I need to do is touch him. And I agree with him. I know. I'm the same guy that said this is going to be a really tough matchup for Conor. And it will be. Conor's undersized at 170, but he's also already faced Max. And he also already knows what Max is susceptible to and does somewhat better when guys are high-volume strikers that don't have a ton of power in their hand. And yes, I do believe that there's a different version of both guys that are fighting. Conor is not the old Conor in good and bad ways, and Max is not the old Max in good and bad ways. I think Max's advantages are his volume, his gas tank. He has weaponized pace and cardio that Conor, it's very difficult for him to keep up the same pace and cardio for 5 rounds. I think Conor obviously has the speed. I think he has...
We'll see.
But yeah, I guess the other part too. Like if Max goes in there and puts a beating on him,
yeah,
is this the last time you see Conor? I mean, I doubt it. I suspect he'll try and like find another way to keep this train on the tracks. But like, what if he goes in there?
That's a great point.
Like shit, you know.
That's a great point because is he the type of personality? Now he has lost, and he lost devastatingly to Dustin Poirier in the way, But there was an injury. If he just gets outworked, knocked out, just outworked, like. Can he live with that? Like, that's the thing. I'm like, is he gonna be like, no? Now we're gonna see Conor want to turn around and come back in there quicker, within months, that type of thing, because he just doesn't want to live with that. That'd be interesting to see too.
I think he wins. I do think he wins. I do think there's a lot of questions about how McGregor, like his lifestyle outside the cage, and then being able to train, being able to juggle everything, and again, like going back to what Marvin Hagler said back in the day, man, it's hard to get up and run whenever you're sleeping in silk pajamas, So, like, how much is he really going out there and training? How much is he really just putting up for show? We won't know until the fight. And I like my chances with Holloway. Again, he's been way more active. He's been in the gym. And especially even in his last fight, he didn't take much damage. So for me, I'm thinking it's more of a Holloway win. And again, also he's one of my favorite fighters, so I'm definitely going Holloway. But I'm looking at it from the outside perspective. There is that X factor of Conor McGregor coming at actually better. But again, in MMA, the older you get, it's usually a slow decline. And the way he looked his past couple, I'm not 100% sold on McGregor right now, so I'm going Holloway.
Now apparently he's sobered up, but still. He's done a lot of damage to his body in the time that he's been away from the sport. And I do think that in this matchup, dude, we're going to see Max Holloway go out there, survive the early storm from McGregor, eat the titanium shin bone. And, I think he's going to knock out Conor McGregor in the 3rd round. So I'm going to be picking Max Holloway to knock out Conor McGregor in round number 3. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I do want to say this now. I'm not going to be doing a live fight companion for the card. I'm going to be going
out. I think with McGregor being at 170, I think he'll be a little bit more durable. I think he's been heavy for a while. The fact that he doesn't have to cut the extra weight, I think, is a big advantage for Conor McGregor in this fight. McGregor may be slower, but again, he won't have to cut as much weight. Holloway is fighting at 170 for the first time. Is any of that power going to translate? I don't think Holloway has a lot of power to begin with. If you look at most of Holloway's wins, they are by decision. Right? You look at it there, Poirier decision. Gaethje was a 5th round finish. And let's be honest, Gaethje kind of gave that away with the pointing to the ground and, his nose was broken. So that led to him getting the knockout. Korean Zombie shortly retired after this win in 2023, or not shortly retired, only a couple more fights later. Then he ended up retiring. But look at this, Arnold Allen decision, Yair decision, Cater decision. Should have pretty much finished Cater in that fight. I'll give him credit for that. But Holloway mainly does not finish his opponents. You have to go all the way back to the Aldo fights where he was able to finish him, but typically he's not much of a finisher. Now, McGregor could get really tired in this fight. We've seen him have cardio issues and slow down, and maybe Holloway gets a TKO finish. I certainly could see that happening, but I think the big thing here for Holloway is just winning the fight, and I could see him being a little bit more conservative, maybe not trying to go for broke as much, knowing that McGregor still does.
As the MMA world braced for this long-anticipated clash between McGregor and Holloway, it was clear the experts couldn't agree on how it would play out. Some believed McGregor's precision, timing, and that dangerous left hand made him a live threat against absolutely anyone he stepped in with. Others were convinced it would be Holloway's cardio and durability that would ultimately smother him across a full 5 rounds. Across the board, fighters and analysts kept circling back to the same central question: can McGregor land clean early? Or does Holloway's pace eventually take the fight away from him?
I think win, lose, or draw, we get a very, very good version of Conor. I think Max is the perfect matchup. There is no perfect matchup that's taking a 5-year layoff. But again, this is in boxing, so there's no warm-up. So to come back to be the caliber of star that Conor is, there's no warm-ups. You're going to get a tough fight. Out of all the tough fights, all of them are tough. He'd be an underdog in every single one except for Michael Chandler, but that's not a big enough name to come back after a 5-year layoff. So that's why they're not doing it. But for all the tough matchups, stylistically, and this is crazy, I know, the safest matchup they could give him is Max Holloway after a 5-year layoff. Not a knockout artist, but he does have the capabilities and the footwork to embarrass you over 5 rounds, and you get beat up. But the chance of you ending up face down, ass up aren't that good unless they do the point down thing, which has been played out so many times now, and they just throw caution to the wind. So it's kind of set up for Conor, and what's on the line for him is, again, financially and also for his legacy. Financially, though, he beats, let's go through the scenario. If he beats Max Holloway, well, then in order to fight for a title or to get that next big matchup, which will be for sure be before April 2027, he'll get a title shot. Guarantee it. They offer.
Much like plenty of other UFC fighters weighing in on this rematch, Jamahal Hill admitted he found this one genuinely hard to call. He initially leaned toward Holloway for one specific reason: activity. In Hill's view, Max has stayed busy fighting elite competition, while McGregor's been sidelined for years, and that gap alone gives Holloway a real edge heading in. That said, Hill did acknowledge the welterweight move could work in McGregor's favor, given his past success there. But even with that nod to McGregor's history in the division, Hill still wasn't ready to fully back him, explaining there's just too much unknown after such a long layoff. Fans, he said, will simply have to wait and see which version of the Notorious shows up. In the end, though, Hill did land on a final answer, predicting a knockout win for Max Holloway.
It's a good fight. It's kind of hard to say who I think. I would have to go with Max having that edge because he's been more active. Connor hasn't been active. They're fighting at 170, so that does give Connor an edge because he's fought at 170 before, and Connor hasn't. And Max hasn't. But just we're gonna have to see.
Angelo Hodgetts was about as confident as it gets that McGregor was walking into a loss against Holloway. In his words, McGregor has no real shot given everything stacked against him: the 5-year layoff, the severe leg injury, and simply being much further removed from his physical prime than he was in his best years. Hodgetts argued McGregor's entire game was always built on speed and timing rather than conditioning, and after such a long absence, he doesn't expect those tools to show up the same way. He also brought up Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman, noting that neither fighter ever fully returned to their previous level after suffering comparable leg injuries.
Why Conor McGregor has no chance in hell to win this fight. He just doesn't. 5 years ago, Conor broke his leg. I sat here in this chair and I said, Conor McGregor will never fight again. And I said it from my chest.
Hey, how lucky did you get that he didn't fight Michael Chandler? Because he would have fucking smoked Michael Chandler.
Well, now we know that.
Like, holy shit. Like that, you made that video. Like, obviously it wasn't that video, but me and you are you put $1,000 on Michael Chandler, and I put $2,000 on Conor. And looking back at that, oh my God, dude, he would have fucking smoked Michael Chandler. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I sat in the chair and I said, Conor McGregor will never fight again. And then the Conor McGregor documentary took that clip and they mixed it in with a bunch of other clips, but then they kept the audio and they used it throughout the documentary as like here's his comeback trail. And to Jacob's point, 2 years ago, I almost looked pretty stupid on that claim because he signed up to fight Michael Chandler.
We had tickets.
Jacob bought me tickets. I have right here. I'm not going to get it because it's all the way up.
Bodetti continued by explaining why he doesn't believe McGregor can beat Holloway, even if fans are hoping for a miracle. Said Holloway's durability, pace, and experience make him a terrible matchup for this version of McGregor. While he admitted McGregor always carries knockout power, He believes his speed has declined, and his cardio was never elite, even during his prime. Because of that, Bodetti expects Holloway to survive the early danger, take control as the fight progresses, and eventually finish McGregor.
I genuinely do not think Conor McGregor has a chance in hell. He is coming off a 5-year layoff. He is 38 years old. Even in Conor McGregor's almost prime, let's say when he beat Nate Diaz the second time, if you took that version of Conor, that exact version, and he fought Max, that version of Conor would lose. Conor McGregor has never had great cardio. What he had was speed and timing. And you know what? 5 years away, with 38 years old, you lose your speed, you lose your timing. Conor McGregor is not winning this fight. Not coming back after that leg break. The two most notable times that injury has happened was to Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. Anderson Silva, that happened to him at basically the height of his career. And he just went on to nosedive. He had one win after that, like 4 losses. Chris Weidman, same exact shit. Came back, looked awful against Brad Tavares, had to eye poke his way to a win against Bruno Silva, and then looked awful against Eric Anders. Conor McGregor is not bucking that trend. Conor McGregor is not coming back and shocking the world. Conor McGregor is the reason the sport is as big as it is right now.
Michael Bisping made his prediction clear, ultimately siding with Holloway to get his hand raised when the final bell sounds. Still, he believes McGregor poses a genuine threat right out of the gate, and if there's going to be an upset, Bisping figures it has to come by knockout. His reasoning ties back to McGregor's tendency to explode early and fade as fights progress, and 5 years removed from his prime certainly isn't going to magically improve his stamina. When it came time to lock in his pick, Bisping said flatly, "I'm going to pick Max," admitting that some small part of him would actually love the chaos an upset McGregor win would cause. He respects how tough and seasoned Holloway is, but also acknowledged McGregor's knockout power means literally anything could happen. Even so, Holloway remained his pick. Curtis Blades based his prediction on motivation rather than pure skill, questioning whether McGregor still carries the same fire that once made him a champion. He admitted it's hard to picture McGregor grinding through countless gym hours the way competing at this level demands. Blades conceded he could be wrong, but his gut says Holloway is simply the hungrier fighter at this stage of both their careers, and that hunger, in his view, is what wins this fight. Adrian Yanez pointed to a similar theme, arguing that lingering doubts about McGregor's dedication outside the cage are the real reason Holloway can win this. He specifically questioned McGregor's lifestyle and whether he's still putting in the necessary work to compete at an elite level. Referencing Marvin Hagler's famous line about how hard it is to stay hungry once you're rich and successful, Yannis wondered aloud if McGregor still has that same internal drive that fueled his rise. Nobody will know for certain until fight night, but that uncertainty alone pushed Yannis toward Holloway. He also flagged Holloway's recent activity as a real strength, noting he stayed sharp, stayed in shape, and walked away from his last fight with minimal damage, solid momentum heading in. Yannis acknowledged McGregor's unpredictable X factor could swing things his way, but ultimately feels age and recent results have left him less competitive than before. Brendan Schaub took a different angle, arguing that McGregor's biggest strength is actually the very thing most people see as a weakness, that 5-year absence. Schaub pointed out that while Holloway was busy competing in the UFC, he was also absorbing plenty of punishment along the way, currently holding records for both significant strikes landed and absorbed. McGregor, meanwhile, got that time to fully heal from his leg injury, sparing him from additional wear and tear inside the octagon. Even so, Schaub stopped short of predicting disaster for McGregor, insisting that regardless of the outcome, he'll still look like a legitimate fighter, and that Holloway was actually a smart opponent to choose for a comeback. His final point was that while Holloway's speed and volume can wear down most fighters over 5 rounds, Schaub doesn't think he has the one-shot power to simply put McGregor away. At the end of the day, every prediction around this fight keeps circling back to the same core tension pace versus precision. If McGregor finds his timing early, lands that sharp left hand, and controls distance, he absolutely has a real path to victory. But if Holloway survives those early exchanges, the fight starts tilting into dangerous territory for McGregor fast. Holloway's volume, pressure, and endurance across 5 rounds have broken down elite fighters before, which is exactly why so many experts favor him in the later rounds. Still, nobody's fully counting McGregor out, not when he's shown he can flip a fight in a single moment. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Does McGregor land early? Or does Holloway eventually take over?